I'm Norris King. What you see is what you get. I'm a regional councillor and a member of the community for as long as I've been alive. I'm currently involved. I'm a former national athlete that come through this very community. I was born in the early 70s, so I'm around for as long as, I guess, before either of you were born. All right? The Linden that I've known as a child is similar but different in many respects to the Linden you see today. In the heyday of Linden, Linden initially was founded on bauxite. The establishment of the bauxite company created a bauxite community. All right? Back in the day, the bauxite company took care of the generation of our electricity, potable water, health services, and everything for the community because, like I said, it was a bauxite community. Back then, we had Mackenzie, where the bauxite industry was established, and the employees of the bauxite company were established here also. In those days, you could have come to Linden and you had to go to Christianburg or Wismar because in order for you to be on Mackenzie Shore, you had to get a permit or a pass to be over here where we are today. In those days, the bauxite company subsidized the supply of food for its workers who were primarily, like I said, the most of the community. The bauxite company provided housing and all of that. Now, we fast track to the point of nationalization. The company was nationalized by then President Burnham because he felt that the people of Linden and Guyana were not getting the best out of, the resources that were being extracted. All right? With that came its own challenges. And so all the things that we were accustomed to started changing because that in itself, the nationalizing of the bauxite company then created certain economic constraints. All right? And we move on and we go on. Now, the bauxite company facilitated sports activities and facilities. That's why we have the Mackenzie Sports Club, which was created or established by the bauxite company, there again for its workers who were mainly the people in the community. All right? Coming along, the company wound up being divested. So, as the company was divested, certain conditions or benefits were annexed from the community, or the community was cut off from certain benefits. The government took over the supply of potable water, health services and medical supplies, and almost all the ancillary services, with the exception of the generation of electricity. The bauxite company still generates electricity for the community. Hence, the people of Linden still enjoy the cheap electricity that we enjoy because GPL is nowhere here. The bauxite company still generates current for the community in that the bauxite company or any generation plant would not generate the exact amount of power that it has to use. At minimum, it generates about 25% more power than it requires. So if there's an emergency, you can shut down a section and switch on the excess so that the company can keep running. Now, there's where the excess power is distributed to the community. Whenever there's an outage in a part of the company, they take the community, that's how the communities get blackout, right? They would take the community off the grid to keep the company running while they repair the section that's damaged, and then they would switch the community back onto the grid. And that's few and far in between, all right? So that's how it goes as from where we were back then to where we are now. The agricultural produce of Linden is never highlighted in a positive way as coming from Linden. And we must understand that. We have a whole lot of produce that comes from Region 10, not just Linden, from Region 10, all right? In the Berbice River, and, you know, a whole lot of other places, like when you go through Millie's, that trail or road from Millie's Junction, not when you turn into Linden, in the opposite direction where you see that red road, it takes you all the way to the Berbice River. You can go to New Amsterdam from through that trail. There's a whole lot of agriculture going on there, where pine, peas, corn, so many things are being produced in that very area, right? Which is something that we have to ask ourselves, why is it that the economic plus that should be highlighted for this region is not being attributed to the region or the town? That is something that I think the RDC is now working on getting through its agricultural committee, the records to be straightened, where all the produce of Region 10 must be reflected in our agricultural data. So the world over would know that we're no longer solely producing bauxite. There are so many other things that are produced here. As we continue to diversify, we're looking at tourism. We're planning to have sports tourism, because over the years, Linden was always the mecca of sports. Any sports for Guyana, Linden, all right? Athletics, basketball, hockey, all the different sports are played in Linden unto today. We would have produced a ton of national athletes and competitors, whether it's in volleyball or any, you name the sports discipline that you want to talk about, right? We would have been producing athletes, sportswomen, sportsmen in the various disciplines or fields. Continuing with our diversification process, all right? Linden is moving in the direction of the different forms of tourism as an economic boost for the community. We're working on private-public partnerships where we're pushing to have private entities take charge of the tourism sector, where we promote different things. As you know, we have, I think it's Elite Kayaking, that promotes kayaking. People come into the community where we take them up and around. We have companies like Elevate Solutions and Entertainment Plus that organize tours, so persons from out of Linden can come make contact with these folks and organize tours around Linden and Region 10, all right? Because we realize that we have to adjust from bauxite, and we have to do better than we're doing. Upgrading the Blue Lakes, because we have them in unlimited supply. Upgrading the Blue Lakes. Lots of people come thinking that Blue Lake is one place. And a lot of times when when we have persons come into Linden, then and only then they realize that you have different blue lakes that you can visit, all right, that look the same way or similar, because they're all mined out areas. They're tested and proven to be healthy in terms of the water. If the water gets into your mouth, you have no fear. But the risk that we have, because of the depth that they are, we advise people not to go swimming in them, right? But we have other sites. We have the water wheel at Christianburg. We have Bucktongue. We have the old Bansaw Mill at Silvertongue. We have the other commemoration sites that we can take people to. Some people never really saw the silos and other parts of the aluminum plant that are still in place. And all those things are still here. All right, we have the cenotaph, you know, and so much to offer in terms of tourism. And so we're now beginning to develop those places and advertise more of Linden and Region 10. For the persons that are interested in nature tours, all right, we have Net Surf Nature Resort, we have the Lucky Spot, and, you know, some other places for those persons that want to be in the outdoors, all right? That would be come and spend a night outside so that you can, you know, enjoy nature, all right? So here in Region 10, we're diversifying so that as a people, we are no longer solely dependent on bauxite only.